Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 5 of the Xbox Factor podcast. I am one of your hosts, MrBooMStickXL. And of course, I couldn't do the show without my co host and one of the finest human beings that I personally know, the Welsh Gamer. Last week, he had a family emergency that kind of pulled him away from the show, but he's back and he is raring to go. Welsh, welcome back, you fine gentleman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boomstick XL. And I can just confirm to everyone that the family emergency has been corrected. My cats went missing. And they are home, god damn it. So I'm back and ready to rock and roll, Mr. Boomstick.
Well, listen, you know what? Pets are family, regardless of how old, how young, how big, how small. And, you know, when you have something pop up, listen, life does get in the way. But you know what? Everyone has been waiting for the premiere Xbox show, which plays only in the morning on Thursdays. And we're going to start with the first topic. Here's the thing. This is an interview that we're going to be discussing regarding Aaron Greenberg, who was speaking with GI Biz. And this is what he had to say, and I don't like it. According to Microsoft, there's more than enough content this holiday. We didn't need Crackdown 3. Now, I absolutely do not agree with this, and I want to discuss it with you, and I want to discuss it with everyone in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to read a couple of his quotes. According to, again, GI Biz, this is what Aaron Greenberg had to say. We're going to get Forza 4 out early and before the blast radius, referring to all the games, the all big AAA games that come out in the fall. We didn't need Crackdown or any of our titles in this holiday window. We're planning to launch that in February, and then after that, we're going to launch Ori and Will of the Wisps. He continues with, we like to have a steady cadence of content throughout the year, but there is more than enough content this holiday. That's why we're working with so many third-party partners to showcase their games and help drive our platform during that window. He also finishes up with, I can't think of a holiday that had more AAA games in such a tight time period. Now, here's the thing. I completely understand Crackdown 3 not being, you don't want to put that out and get crushed. First of all, it's going to get crushed anyway, simply because you have all of the stigma and the stink with this game having so many delays, right? So it's already has one foot in the grave, so to speak. I'm super excited for Crackdown 3, but you know what? My question to you, Welsh, and this is where it gets, I really want to hear your opinion on this. He keeps referring to there's going to be a lot of content this holiday. Now, I'll be the first one to say Forza Horizon 4 is probably going to be sitting somewhere in a 95 in the Metacritic, and it's going to be one of the premier racers that we're going to see this generation. If it's anything like the third iteration, then we're in for a treat. But, if he's talking about all this major content being just Sea of Thieves DLC and a horde mode being added to State of Decay 2, this is where there's some sort of a disconnect with Aaron Greenberg. Now, I like the man. He's a good human being. I just don't know if he's doing the job as the marketing head honcho. What do you think about this?
See, it's a toughie because this is one of those things that, you literally have to draw a line in the sand and say to yourself, right, am I on this side of the coin or this side of the coin? Because for me, I agree with the strategy of not dropping Crackdown before Christmas, because between now and Christmas, there is a lot of big hitting titles, even if there wasn't more than just Red Dead 2. I mean, Red Dead 2 alone is going to absolutely suck the life out of just about every other game.
Yes.
So considering, even though I hear you, Boom, and I'm on your side with it as well, I'm playing both sides here, but from my angle, I see it as this. Crackdown has already had, like you said, the stink attached to it. And for me, if there's any chance of this game having even just a small amount of success, it needs to shake that stink as much as possible. Having it drop alongside the likes of Red Dead 2 is literally game development suicide, in my opinion, like especially with the added stink that we discussed of all these delays and all this, that, and the other. So I understand where he's coming from that point of view. When we talk about next year, as you said, we have Crackdown 3 dropping in February. Following that will be Will-O-the-Wisp, which is another fan favorite. So it looks like the first quarter or whatever of next year is covered. As for this, for the fourth quarter of this, for the latter part of this year, we have obviously Forza Horizon 4. But you asked the question, like, is his big content quote only pointing towards Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2? While some people have probably got their heads buried in their heads buried in their hands, thinking, Aaron, what the fuck are you smoking? For me, I'm kind of the mind where I'm glad that the Xbox still is heavily behind and supporting games that came out earlier this year. Because this is the thing, right? When I look at like the PlayStation platform, not to like, compare because it's apple and oranges, it's down to preference. But when I sit and look at the first party lineups of that console, I literally think of a long list of games which will be played for 6 to 8 hours and forgotten about. When I look at the Xbox, just taking Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 as examples, because they're the ones we're talking about, they are games that are going to be heavily supported and have longevity and replayability for years to come. Not just the next couple of hours or days or months, but for years. So now that they've just dropped the Daybreak DLC, which by the way is incredible, I absolutely love it. It's very challenging and difficult, and you need to have friends. And it's another massive community-based DLC. Sea of Thieves, they've already had 2 events with the Megalodon, and they had Cursed Sails. Forsaken Shores is coming out soon. I think that these DLCs are just carrying the fire, like putting fuel on the fire, keeping it burning. And I think, yeah, with those 2 things, plus Forza Horizon 4, which is probably going to be arguably one of the better games to drop on the Xbox this generation so far, if it can one up Forza Horizon 3, I think Aaron has a very good point. But that's just mine and probably a very small amount of people's point of view. I mean,
no, you make a lot of sense. I mean, here's the thing. The problem isn't that I need a $1 billion AAA game to represent Microsoft in the fall, more than one. We're getting Forza Horizon 4. It's going to be amazing. We're going to dive in later on in the show into, or maybe segue into the Halo content that's being added. I mean, obviously that's never been done before in any game, any racing game, where they incorporated I mean, obviously outside of like Mario Kart incorporating other levels into their circuit, this is the first time we're going to see Master Chief in a racing game where you're actually going to play as Master Chief. We're going to dig into that. But my problem with this fall are 2 particular games that have gone literally off the radar into the deepest, darkest well you could possibly have. And, first one is Below. Below has been in development for what seems like an eternity. And following that is Ashen. Now, these 2 games, yes, they're small. Yes, they're indie. But as you remember, last year, Cuphead was an indie title that basically stole the show in the fall for Microsoft and all of its fans. I mean, I've never beaten it. It is one of those games that I will attempt to eventually play through. I supported that company. I cannot wait for the DLC that's scheduled for it. I want to see them do a Cuphead 2. But, when you talk about content for the fall, I totally understand that we're not going to get Halo 6 and Gears 5 and all this other, what you would expect Microsoft to bring the bangers, if you will.
Yeah.
But where is Ashen? Where is Below? These games were scheduled to come out this year, almost guaranteed. And we have heard nothing. Now, if you told me that in the fall, this particular fall that we're rolling around into, we're getting all the third-party games, they have all the third-party marketing and all the biggest titles, you know what? Kudos to them. and then you add a Forza Horizon 4, and then you add a Below and an Ash, and two smaller titles that are going to capture the audience's attention, along with being critically acclaimed by the media. You know, what do you think about that? Where are these games, and are you concerned?
I'm not entirely. I'm not really concerned as such. Like for me, when it comes to any game, AAA or indie, um, I've kind of come to the conclusion over the years when it comes to game development that like you kind of just got to let the development side of it just like go leave it in due course, like kind of like just let it be, if you will. Like so for me, when it comes to any game, and as you mentioned, Ashen and Below, I have every faith that those two games are en route to coming out on time. In terms of like whatever date they've got in their heads behind closed doors, and then when they're good and ready, they'll just be like, "Yo, this is the date that it's dropping." Um, so I'm not so much concerned, and quite frankly, back onto the Aaron Greenberg quote, what he's saying about more having enough content. I think Xbox is fine with even if those two titles in particular don't come out this side of Christmas. I still stand by what I'm saying about Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 having the longevity and support from Xbox and Microsoft, as well as dropping Forza. So for me, with that said, if Below and Ashen was to drop this side of Christmas as well, they were to drop the release date and it came out and whatnot, that'd for me be a nice bonus just added to the pile, which would even more so give props to Aaron Greenberg and his statement.
Yeah, I agree. Look, here's the thing. I don't like starting off the show or even bringing up negative topics. So you and I are very positive people. We like to keep our content positive, but I was a little taken aback by his statement simply because I'm an Xbox gamer first and foremost. I mean, I'm playing Spider-Man and enjoying the hell out of it. But I still want to pop on my Xbox, which I'll be doing later today when I play Tomb Raider, which we're also going to be discussing today. It's just that sometimes, and again, this is my personal opinion, even though I think Aaron Greenberg really is a genuinely nice guy. I mean, personally, he helped me out with a particular situation last year, and he came through in a big way. So, obviously he's a fantastic human being. It's just that when you make statements like this, you're saying, oh no, we have plenty of content, and as an Xbox gamer, I'm gonna have to say nay on that because Sea of Thieves, I don't play it, and I'm not saying that it's garbage because I don't play it. I'm saying that content for that game and content for State of Decay 2, which I happen to absolutely love. I don't think that you don't do it. In my opinion, you don't do an interview and come and put your chest out and your chin up and saying, we have content this fall. We didn't need Crackdown 3. Again, I understand Crackdown 3 would have been crushed, but at the same token, if it was handled by a proper AAA developer, it would have come out when it was supposed to and not limped out of the start. You know what I'm saying? So
No,
I just
listen,
brother.
Boo. Right, me and you, right? Yes, we wave the green flag and we have no problem giving Xbox props. But one thing I pride myself in, and I know you're the same way, is we have no problem calling out Xbox to Microsoft. And as we are the consumer, the gamer, if you as an individual are not happy with what Anne Greenberg is saying, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I, for one, am with you all the way. Like I think a lot of people are probably more on your side of this argument than me. I suppose Aaron Greenberg, even if he's not even talking about Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 and he's strictly just on about Forza, he clearly just has a lot of confidence in that one title, thinking that, he probably just thinks that, this is going to be a big hitter for us. It's going to see people through to the new year. And then we've got Crackdown 3 waiting for them. There's so many angles to go from this. And I certainly don't look at you any differently for thinking, Aaron, I like you, dude, but you're talking absolute shit. Like, mate, it's happened to me, man. The amount of times Phil's come out with a bloody cryptic message, something out of bloody Tomb Raider, pardon the pun, and I'm just like, whoa, like, I'm not trying to open a vault here, fucking Phil. I just want you to tell me what's going on. And, and sometimes it can leave you a bit none the wiser and a bit disappointed. And it obviously, for you personally, wasn't what you want to hear. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to get that off my chest, that like that there's always a time and a place to call out Microsoft, and if you feel that this is one of those times for you, then you fucking have it, mate. You do it.
Well, like I said, again, I don't like, I have to, as a show host, that runs multiple shows. I run an Xbox show right now. If I had 100% positive Xbox news, then that's what the show would be. The same thing with running the Breakfast with Boom, which is a multi-plat show. I support all three consoles, which is why I enjoy having bookend shows. One being Xbox because it's my system of choice when it comes to third party, and doing a multi-plat show where I can get out there and say with confidence I'm enjoying Spider-Man, or I enjoyed a particular Sony game, or I happen to be looking forward to Smash Brothers on the Switch. But look, here's the thing. I just wish that I'm going to say this, and this is going to be a real deep topic for another show because I can go an hour with this. And I know we'll move on to the topic as soon as I'm done, unless you have a comment on it. My problem with Xbox in this generation has been the lackluster marketing. It has been at the forefront of its failure. Yes. If you play on Xbox and that's your system, I hear you because it's my system. I've been supporting Xbox since the beginning. But this particular generation, there has been some sort of a missing piece, if you will, when it comes to marketing. There's a reason why it's 2-to-1 in regards to console sales, and you can rope in marketing deals, you can rope in first party games, and you can certainly rope in custom consoles as being the culprits. I'm just saying this, and I'll end it now. If you like I said, if you have something to add, please, by all means. I'm hoping that in the next generation, they look back at the last 5 years and understand that there was a tremendous disconnect with its fans and the brand.
Frankly, I do agree. All I can say, and I'll keep it short and sweet so we can move on to the following topics, but Xbox has had a disconnect. And I think I've always been one to say, and I mean it still, if you've got a great product, the product should speak for itself. But the problem is, you've got PlayStation like pushing the PlayStation. Every other advert you see on television, every commercial when you go to the theaters or cinemas or whatever,
yes,
it's PlayStation. They do a custom console for just about every game imaginable. And then over on the Xbox side, they don't even pay. I don't even think when Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 were dropping, I don't think I saw one trailer on the TV. And then, honestly, I don't think I saw one commercial which promoted those games. You might have seen the odd banner on Twitter or the odd retweet or repost from Mike Ibarra from the State of Decay profile.
Correct. Yes,
but the marketing has been a shambles, and I'll be the first one to agree and make the claim that I'm just hoping personally that they've kind of accepted that this generation, in terms of units and their stance on the gaming ladder, is kind of, it's already been decided who the victor is, and that they're going to be going into next generation with a left and a right punch, like any boxer would when the bell rings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great points, dude. Really, really fantastic points.
So that's all I got on that. I completely agree.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's move on to a fun subject. It's fun, it's controversial, and I think that the people that are in the chat are eventually going to listen to this that are Xbox fans are going to be rallying behind the group of people lining up at the top of the hill, if you know what I mean. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is out. And the Twitter and YouTube community basically they've been at each other's throats since the Metacritic reviews have been pouring out. Now, as of this writing, the PS4 Pro version is sitting at a 78. When I wrote this earlier in the week, it was at a 77, so it gained a point. And the Xbox One X version is sitting at an 82. When I wrote this, it was sitting at an 83, so it went down a little bit. Without being a wise guy, the X version is expected to be better, and I mean, I think it's math 101 here. I don't think that I'm being a jerk or trying to fan the fires of the console wars, but you obviously know that it has higher specs, so it's going to run better than the PS4 Pro because it's a more powerful system. But the ponies, which is AKA the toxic players within the PS4 community, are crying foul. And some of them, who I will not name, because I don't do that on my show, have gone as far as to call Shadow of the Tomb Raider garbage simply because it's scoring better on the Xbox. Now, I've heard the terms media bias by some of these these ponies, I like to call them. And again, this is not the general PlayStation community, because you know what? The night Spider-Man launched, I was at GameStop and I actually hung out with about 100 people that were obviously there to pick up their Spider-Man game, and they were awesome to just BS and talk about the PlayStation and what they've been doing. And there was no negativity. There was no one, crashing me over the head with a PlayStation 4 because I wear green and, I bleed green. No, it was just a couple
blasphemy.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. But the unfortunate part of this community on both sides, I have to make sure that's set out there. There are Xbots out there that ruin it for everyone with their nastiness. But the PlayStation ponies, if you will, they are the loudest, and they do toxify the community. And I just, at the end of the day, I just want to play a game. Now, if that game is going to run better on the Xbox One X, well, guess what? That's where I'm going to be playing it. And it appears that Shadow of the Tomb Raider is running very well. Now, there's been, there was that Digital Foundry video, which I do encourage everyone to check out. And there are two modes. There is a 4K 30 that hits the mark of that number almost 90% of the time. There are some frame dips where it drops down to as low as 56 or 57. And I'm sorry. Yeah, when you do the 1080 60, it is taking a little bit of dips, hitting down to like the 56 or 57 level. But it's not really affecting the game. I want to get your take on this. First of all, do you have Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and are you going to be playing it on your X when you get it?
I'll certainly be playing it on my X when I get it. I'm yet to even play the first one.
Okay.
It's on my backlog. Microbox of X literally wants to beat me up.
I'm gonna have to, stand in line with, and cane you, to be honest, because this is a travesty of justice happening live on the air.
No, literally, mate. I'm almost embarrassed. But that's just my honesty coming through. I could easily blag and say that I've played them all and I've 100%ed them. But the truth is, as much as I've played a lot of Tomb Raider games over the years, I'm yet to play the new ones that, starting with the initial Tomb Raider and then Rise of the Tomb Raider. Now you got Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I do intend to play them. I just haven't played them yet. But on principle of video games now and what we're talking about, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is just a pawn in this very, very, very twisted game that ponies and a lot of very weird individuals. I mean, these are the same people, in my opinion, that fall into that category of crying over puddles with this whole puddle game.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. Yep.
I'm going to cancel my pre-order because there's only 2 puddles when there's meant to be 10. Like, get fucked, you people. I literally, honestly, I'm going in now, Boom. I'm going in. But literally, right, when it comes to like Metacritic, personally, I don't follow it. I have no problem with people who do. But frankly, this is my only advice to anyone listening to this show right now. Stop taking Metacritic to heart, especially you twisted, horrible ponies. Like, how can you possibly call a game trash because you have a lower Metacritic? How can you possibly call media bias after the last 4 years of clear bias in favor of your system of choice? When Metacritic, in all, if we're being completely honest here, calling a spade, is about as bloody trustworthy as Wikipedia. Like, honestly, I could put up a review on Metacritic and it'd have an effect on the overall score.
Correct.
It's not a reliable piece of information. If you want a genuine review of a game, or you are one of these people who buy their games based on a number next to the box, you're doing it all wrong. I can recommend like some people on YouTube, the smaller channels who give you honest to God, hand on heart reviews. They're not in it for money or anything like that.
Yes.
But still, even then, guys, even if you come across Joe Blogs with 200 subscribers and he's giving you his honest opinion on a game, and you decide, you know what, I'm not going to buy this game because Joe Bloggs said it's crap, then you're doing it all wrong. Just have a bit of integrity, guys. I mean, and these ponies, on the topic of these ponies, like the fact they're calling it trash, saying that there's media bias, it's just pure and utter hypocrisy. And it makes me quite sad and sick as a gamer, because these people, Boom, aren't gamers. I don't know what they are. They certainly, I literally don't know what to say anymore. Like, these are the people who are just a cancer in the gaming community, and literally are gaming and spreading the word of gaming, and are possibly even putting gaming in a bad light over like things that don't matter. Like, my question to the chat now, and all I want is a yes or a no. For those of you who have played Shadow of the Tomb Raider, are you having fun?
Hashtag fun.
If the answer is yes, crack on. I'm glad you're having fun. If the answer is no, unfortunate. But fucking hell, like get over this Metacritic bullshit. Like, someone might give it a 90, someone might give it a 10, someone might give it a 50. If that is what speaks quality for you, then I have one thing to say: you are doing it all wrong. I literally, I don't know what else to say, Boom. I'll let you speak, and I'll add to whatever you're saying if I think of anything.
Well, you know what? It's obviously when you're reviewing a game, it's subjective, right? You're a gamer, and you're going to play a game, and look, I'm not a professional media personality, not even remotely. Yes, I do. When I do these podcasts, and when I put the shows together, anyone that has worked with me will realize the amount of hours and professionalism that I show when it comes to making these programs, because it's a sense of pride. Plus, people that show up in the chat and people that listen, I am occupying their time, and they are taking time out of their valuable day to listen to what I have to say. So of course I have to be very proper about that. And I really hold that to I hold myself to an extremely high standard. And you mentioned something about reviews. Now, I originally wasn't going to talk about this because, again, reviews are subjective, but then it comes to a point where you have to scratch your head. Now, IGN, which is obviously not, the most, they're the biggest publication in gaming, but they're not really well liked. And, their ranks have thinned out. A lot of really quality people have left to do their own thing, but they reviewed it and they gave it a 9. And, again, I have yet to play it. My copy is being delivered today. I'm probably going to agree with that because I've watched a lot of video, and it looks, listen, I gave the last Tomb Raider a 9.5 out of 10. I thought it was that good. I'm expecting this to be just as good, possibly better. But the review I sat back in my chair and I kind of just, I thought about it. I made one of those, GIF faces that was, like Will Smith, when he does the thinking face. GameSpot gave it a 6. Now, there is a big disparity between a 6 and a 9. I mean, that is like a Grand Canyon. It's 3 points in reality, but in when you sit back and think about it, there is a lot to unpack there. And I always wondered, GameSpot has really not been relevant in many years. They've painted themselves as a publication into the corner, and this to me, giving a game where, I mean, again, IGN wasn't the only place to give it a 9. There were plenty of publications to give it very high marks, but to see the 6 really shocked me. Well, what is your take on this? Again, subjective and all, there comes a point of where you have to do the game justice and the developer justice with the work that was put into it. Do you think that it's a 6?
I haven't played it, so I literally can't say. But based off the back of the other games and the pedigree and the great reviews from close friends of mine who've played it, people I trust in their opinion, I'd go on a limb to say that it probably is not a 6. It probably deserves a higher score. But then again, it boils down to the same point I made not moments ago, that whoever this geezer is that thought, yeah, I'm going to put a nice flat, fat fucking 6 next to it, who cares? Like, for you, it could be a 10. Like, for, let's just name a few names from the chat. To Yao Ming, it could be a 7. To Shizno Elite, it could be a 9. To Mr. Glass, it could be a 3. He could absolutely hate it. Who knows? But I think too many people fall into this trap of looking at a review from, say, IGN. They see 5.5 out of 10, and then they straight away get turned off. They're like, oh, I'm cancelling my pre-order. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, just because that guy reviewed it doesn't mean he's God. Like, there's no gospel here. Like, you might love the game. Like, so many of my friends will refuse to buy, like, certain games that I've bought, and I have so much fun with them. They claim they're garbage, and I'm like, well, Mr. Glass just said 3. Shut the fuck up, Welsh. Amazing. Am I making sense though, Boom? Like, do you get where I'm coming from? I think my overall point is just this, that like, I think that you are right. Reviewers who have responsibility in promoting a game and giving it its due diligence need to be very careful with how they review games, because obviously if it is a biased situation where that people are getting paid under the table or anything like that, these big review sites can in fact have a crippling effect on the success of a game. That is just the bottom line, because whether I scream to the high heavens for people not to or whatever, people do tend to follow suit and a bit sheepish when it comes to these review scores. But bottom line, this guy, if in his opinion, in his hand on heart, truth to God opinion, is he feels it's a 6, then by God, the man's absolutely entitled to his opinion.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, yes.
Now, but bottom line, people just shouldn't follow his opinion as fact. You know, make your own assumptions.
Well, you know what? I normally don't like to do this because I need to address somebody in the chat. Sam Dillinger basically made a comment that says that me particular Boom is biased because I come out forward and honest about Xbox being my preferred platform when I clearly talk about PlayStation in the most positive light. I mean, if you go to my channel and if you followed me, Sam, I think there's not a person in this chat that's going to turn around and say, well, wait a second, Boom is just one-sided. Because I've been playing Spider-Man like it's going out of style, posting numerous, at least a dozen, possibly more pictures on Twitter. God of War is my game of the year. Detroit Become Human is in my top 10, and Spider-Man is probably going to show up somewhere in the top 3. So when you say biased, and then he says something that kind of stuck me a little bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said anything. He said, well, should we question my integrity? Now, hold on just a second here. And I don't think I'm going on a pedestal or going out on a real thin branch here when I say my integrity is unquestionable when it comes to how I handle my personal and professional business when it comes to gaming. I am as fair as anyone, and I will stand on that soapbox until someone knocks me off. Okay? When Sony makes a mistake, as a person who holds his channel to his heart, I will call out Sony for it, just like I did with the crossplay. When Microsoft shits the bed when it comes to marketing, I will say something. When Nintendo drops the ball regarding their online service, I will be at the forefront to say, yes, there's an issue. But then you reverse that, do a 360, and I will turn around and be cheering Spider-Man. I will be cheering Xbox. I'll be cheering Nintendo in whatever release day. So understand, you may think, and it's your opinion, and you know what? You're absolutely entitled to it, and this is not a shaming thing at all. But you know, when you say maybe my integrity is in question, I have to respond to that. I'm very sorry. I don't mean to take us off subject, but I take this very serious. My channel is something that I hold to my heart, and that my work that goes out for people to listen to, I take full responsibility in everything I say. So if you like I said, if you want to unfollow me, dude, you want to not subscribe to my channel, you don't want to show up in the chat, that's great. It's not a problem. But if you do, you're always going to be welcomed. You are absolutely entitled to your opinion. But let's understand this. My integrity is at the forefront of my personal life and in my channel's work. And I think that comes through, and everyone that's in the chat or who will eventually listen to this will understand that my integrity is the number one thing that I hold in front of me. But you know what? Let's move on to the next topic. And I'm sorry for that small rant, but I don't like that. I'm going to be honest.
No, mate. I mean, like I like you said, mate, and I completely agree. I don't think there's a single person in this community that knows you on a personal level, or has even spent more than 10 minutes in your company, that would say you're a biased person. I mean, I'll put my hand up high. I can be very biased, but Boom is not one of those people. He's very fair, and you love all three. I mean, I call things out as I see it and everything, but I'm always going to be up and honest that Xbox is my number one platform, and I promote that shit heavily just on a daily basis. The only thing I will say that I agree with that Sam Dellinger is earlier when he said that everyone has a bias. That's a good point. Like, everyone does. I mean, this goes with everything. Even if you're a football fan, everyone has a favorite team. Like, you know, if you had a YouTube channel about the Steelers, you're not going to just all of a sudden, because people are hating you for banging on about the Steelers, you're not going to all of a sudden just start making videos about the Cowboys or the Eagles, are you? You know,
Right.
End of the day, when you've got a preference and it is your preference and you wave that flag, you are always going to have a natural bias. But that doesn't mean you can't be fair to all the other systems, which I feel I am to a certain degree. But for you, Boom, you are absolutely like one of the more fair people of this community, and I tip my hat to you, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, and of course, I appreciate all the love and support the chat does give me. And again, this is not an attack on Sam. I just wrote to him, said that we are cool, and that is the truth. You know, I don't do shunning, I don't do shaming. He's entitled to his opinion, and you know, here's the thing, and I will say this, and we'll move on to the next topic. If what I'm saying bothers you, DM me. Okay, my DM is open to everyone. Call me out, and I will respond to you and give you the proper answer without any cursing or any shunning. Because you know what, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I respect it. It's just that, you know, when you say integrity, and again, I'm not putting myself on a totem pole here. That for me, honor and integrity is at the forefront as me being a human being. Nothing is more important than that. So, you know what? Again, sorry for the rant. You know, we're going a little long on that, but you know what? Let's talk about this. Since the PlayStation has Spider-Man, which I am absolutely in love with, like I said, it's going to show up my number. It's crazy because I'm going to have. I already have. I start doing my top 10 very early. You know, things shift throughout the year. Already as it stands, 3 Sony first-party single-player games are going to be in my top 10. And that is great because I've had such a great time with my PlayStation 4. There has been talk that obviously this is a big hit for Marvel Studios as a you know, when putting their hands into the game world. We know what they do with the MCU. They're making money hand over fist. You know, Ant-Man and the Wasp just passed $1 billion. And it's crazy because, you know, you put that in the same realm as Infinity War, where it had 50 heroes and just, you know, it has 2 and it breaks, $1 billion. But there's been talk, and I think this is something that should get into the ear of Phil Spencer and Mike Ybarra and other executives. I think that it's a perfect time for Marvel to now turn their focus and give an exclusive character game to the Xbox brand in the same line as Spider-Man. And I think that character could be Iron Man. He's had a few games, and you know what? I hate to say this, they have not been that good, but you know, Insomniac is a third-party developer, and the same way that they were able to bring Spider-Man to life. And I got to tell you, and again, it's stop me if I'm gushing. Playing as Spider-Man has been the most fun I've had in 2018. Just everything about New York is so well detailed. His reading the comics growing up, Spider-Man, he had a sense of humor to him that came through in the cartoons, and they replicate that in such a way it's perfect. And I think that it would be great for Microsoft to get a hero to put on, because this all comes down to list war nonsense. I mean, again, I go where the games are, but I'd like to see Xbox get an exclusive character, and I think Iron Man would be that kind of a character. Now, I bring up this story because I read this on Screen Rant, which is a great site. They talk about movies, they talk about games, more specifically comics. But Welsh, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is something Microsoft could, actually copy Sony? And listen, you know what? When you're the champion, you're going to get people to copy, and I actually don't have a problem with them doing that. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm glad you used the word copy, because literally my initial thoughts when I read this question posed was, no, like, last thing Xbox needs to do in a position of, I say weakness in the sense that they are, like, not first. They're not in like the position of strength that Sony's in with regards to the market. Last thing Xbox needs is to get on its hands and knees and grovel, baby. But like, I can't deny that. I'll be honest. Like, when Sony announced Spider-Man, my first thoughts was, really? I was in my head, I honestly didn't think it was going to be that much of a success. And in my head right now, I've often said to myself, like, there's been so many great Spider-Man games before it. What is it about this one that has gotten it so propelled to the top of everyone's list and conversations? And that boils down to the PlayStation's exclusivity. So for me, I think that, like, Xbox in response, like I said at first, I was like, oh, I hope to God they don't copy and do something like that. But now, after more thought, bottom line, you've got to fight fire with fire, and like, I think Xbox could make a very, very, very compelling superhero game. One thing I will say though, Boom, is given this some more thought, I don't think I'd want to see it be Iron Man. Now, this isn't my preference getting in the way, because my personal favorite superhero from the Marvel's universe is Captain America.
Ah, mine too. Yes, right up there. That'd be great.
No, it's just the way it is, man. My man Cap, he's the boy. But we've seen Spider-Man more than one occasion. That's why I was quite shocked that Spider-Man was even being talked about. But here we are. It's successful. Iron Man has had a game in the past, I'm sure. Captain America had a game. Deadpool's had a game. Batman's had a game. I would like to see one of these two things happen. I'd either love to see a Defenders game, so almost like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but with Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and the Iron Fist. But I reckon, like, I know I'm saying this as a fan of the Netflix series, but I'd love to see just some characters that have not been a video game yet. I did some Googling earlier to see if there was any Luke Cage game or Jessica. I was certain that there wasn't, but I just wanted to double check, and I couldn't find any record of any of those characters being in a video game, except for maybe having a cameo appearance in like Ultimate Alliance or something like that. So I would love to see Xbox tackle a challenge like that. The Devil of Hell's Kitchen, the Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Harlem's hero, and
yes,
Jessica Jones. I'd love to see a game with those four characters, like almost maybe even like a GTA feel as well, like when they're not together, fighting crime together, and you can cycle between the characters and fight individually. Like maybe like we have an open world sort of thing. So like certain times of the game, you've got to switch to certain players, like you do with Trevor. Curtis.
Yes.
Like they could do so much good with that plot alone.
Well, you know what?
Go on.
No, knocking it out of the park, dude. That is actually, someone should hire you, dude, because being able to switch between characters in an open world game, that's awesome, dude. That is really, really good.
Mate, when you give me these topics, Boom, I don't just write them down and drool. I literally, I try to get as much, like, I get my cogs going, man. I literally let my brain go wild with ideas like this. I love open-ended questions. Give me half an hour and I'll present you with 10 ideas. But this was the top of my list. I think they need to go above and beyond and do something that has not been done.
Well, you
I
know
don't
what?
want,
I want to take it. I want to take it one more step. I throw this because as you're talking, my mind, the cogs in my mind are going. And you know what I think when you say, because you said Defenders, and
yeah,
you look at the Netflix series. The Netflix series has a different feel. It's more violent. It's more dark. It's more dirty, right? When you see Daredevil beating some drug dealer's ass in a back alley, it's filthy, right? When you see Luke Cage, walking into a drug den and he's on fire and he just, takes off his sweatshirt and it's just nothing happens and he just beats everyone. Same, and either one of the characters, any one of the characters. What about this food for thought, folks? Because again, I'm an older gamer, so I grew up in the side-scrolling beat 'em ups. What about like a real life looking side-scrolling beat 'em up where it's 4 players and it was a Defenders and you were just taking on loads and loads of bad guys? It wouldn't be at a AAA title, but it certainly would sell. Again, it would be that, that Marvel Knights kind of a dark, deep theme to it. I would definitely purchase that game for sure. But I like your idea about, a big open world game with multiple characters to switch through. Listen, it's again, and I said this, I don't know how many times already, exclusives sell consoles.
precisely.
That's the end of the story. Because, and again, it's a reason why when we take it back, why Sony's winning. Do you know how many PlayStation fans that I'm friends with on Twitter and in real life bought the Spider-Man console, and that was their third, possibly, their second, possibly their third PlayStation 4? Because it's a custom console, because they like Spider-Man, and they take the regular black PS4 Pro and they put it in their den. They give it to their kid. They sell it, but they're rebuying a console. Every console sold for Sony gets thrown into that pot of the 83, possibly 85 plus million that they have this generation, which is, I mean, come on, you have to tip your hat when you hear that. So I would.
This is where. So sorry to cut you off.
No, please, by all means, go ahead.
This is why Sony is genius.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Them by them doing a Spider-Man console, like I wouldn't be surprised if like a third of the consoles sold that are Sony Sony limited edition ones are bought by people who might not even game. They might just have a room dedicated to Marvel, and they're like, I need that in my collection.
Yes, that's true.
But bottom line, it's still a sell, and Sony have got that number on their bloody tally now. So who's laughing? That's all I got to say, really.
I have to do a quick shout out to Jay Zayas. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Every dollar helps this channel grow. And I appreciate everything that everyone has donated. It really, really humbles me that you would take money out of your pocket to help me fund this channel. Thank you so much. That's greatly appreciated. But you know what? Again, let's hope that Marvel, because listen, Marvel, who is owned by Disney, they like money, okay, and they know, and I mean, I think it's safe to assume, without making an ass out of you and me, that Marvel's Spider-Man by Insomniac Games, that's obviously a PS4 exclusive, is selling like gangbusters. It's doing better than God of War. Spider-Man is the most recognized character in Marvel and in comics as a whole. So they're gonna want to maybe possibly do a game for the Xbox. I mean, you gotta remember, we don't have 85 million consoles sold, but there's still 45 plus million, and we do count. You know what I'm saying? Again, I support all three, so I count triple, but it would be nice for them to find a AAA developer, and maybe Marvel will want to do a Daredevil game, because you know what? I think a Daredevil game would be fantastic, because it's violent and he has the run of the city. It just there's so many possibilities. It'd be nice to say. And a shout out to Cake Batter, big fan of the channel, very nice dude with the $5 super chat. Oh, and wow, this is Butcher Van. I don't even know what to say with this $25 super chat. That is really something else. I cannot thank you guys enough. Really, it does mean a lot. And like I said, as soon as I finally get some money from YouTube, because I've been partnered since June and I haven't seen a dime yet, I will start offering giveaways on the show, and this is going to help towards. So thank you guys so much. Let's go on to the next topic. Now this is fun. This is going to be great.
Can I just say one last thing?
Oh yes, please, by all means, go with it, dude.
Sorry, I don't want to drag it on any longer than like needed, but what I have to say, and this is in no way like underselling the success of Spider-Man, because it's clearly through the roof a success. But the way I see it, Boom, based on people's reactions to the game, based on gameplay I've watched, like and based on my personal experience with a lot of previous iterations of the Spider-Man game, if Sony has had this level of success with a game that, let's be truthful here, has been done more than 10 times.
Yes.
Then think about the success that Microsoft could potentially tap into. Like if they just took something, like in my opinion, like I've said, the Defenders never been used outside of television.
Yep.
Netflix was the debut kickoff with their little TV series, and that blew up. I think a video game with a character or a series of characters that has not been done before, and just to top it off, the sky is the limit. Don't limit it to a very narrow, single player experience. Make it a friendly community game where you can invite people. Make it so open that you don't know what to do with yourself. Like you've got a lot of options. Like I said, like GTA 5, like all these different side things going on, being able to cycle through the characters, whether they're together or not. Like there's just so much that Microsoft could do with a project like that. And that's just one idea that I've thrown out there. So again, not underselling the success of Sony's Spider-Man, but from where I'm sitting, they took a very already done game, and I don't think they really went above and beyond to make it any different from ones previous, and the success they've had is incredible. So imagine if Microsoft took a new project that hasn't been done before and it went above and beyond to make it a whole new and unique experience. I think, frankly, if Microsoft are even listening to this, they'd be fools not to tap into that oil well. Yeah, that's literally all I got to say,
dude. That every point that you just had was complete fire. Again, they are in first place for a reason, right? This they didn't just wake up and accidentally fall into first place. This is again. I've said this publicly, privately. I've written about it and I've spoken about it. How impressed I am personally with Sony's marketing in this generation. It is genius, and if again. No one wants to see, because obviously, it's going to come out no matter what. Microsoft is copying. You know what? It's okay. I'll take the L and them coming out with their own Marvel-based, exclusive. I'll be okay with that. But you know what? Let's talk about something that popped up yesterday completely out of left field. Now, normally when I do these shows, because I do back-to-back shows, I walk a very fine line about topics because I don't want to repeat topics that I talk about on this show with the other show, because a lot of the same people that are in today's chat will be in tomorrow's chat. And of course, I appreciate that. And I always want to put on a good show, but I have to talk about it on this show. I'm going to talk about on the next show simply because one of my guests for tomorrow's Breakfast with Boom is the incredible Alan Walsh. We all know he runs his own website. He is basically the Forza guy, if you will, in the community. So he's going to be on tomorrow's show, and he's going to really go into real depth about his article that he just put up on the website, talking about everything that's going to be in Forza. But Forza Horizon 4 demo dropped yesterday, and I got to tell you, man, I downloaded it. It is a big chunk of the game. Like, it's not just, hey, play a race and be done with it. It's literally the entire opening of the game. If you have not downloaded this, I have to encourage you, as soon as you're done with this show, put the show on pause, run to your Xbox, run to your app, download this demo, because it is it is this game is going to be a complete masterpiece. But you know what I want to start with, and we'll get your take on it, Welsh, in a second. There's something that's going to be happening in this game that has not happened in a racing game that I could recall. And that's, of course, talking about the Halo crossover that's going to be, it's been confirmed as real. Now, I reported on this last month where Playground Games was working very closely with 343 Industries to provide a special Halo crossover mission in Forza Horizon 4. And now the good news has arrived. It's real, and I've actually seen video of it, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. And rather than just driving a Warthog through a pre-generated Forza world, the mission actually looks like it takes place in the world of Halo, complete with a glimpse into the spire that we saw in the Halo Infinity trailer. And I mean, listen, anything, you put Halo pretty much anywhere, you've got my attention. You put Halo into Forza, and now I may have to excuse myself from the conversation because I'm going to have to go to the bathroom. But I want to get your take on this, Welsh. First of all, how excited are you for Forza? And I'm going to back end that question. How incredible is it that 343 Industries is working with the amazing talent that's going to bring us Forza Horizon 4 and collaborating on something that's never been done before?
Well, speaking of the Forza Horizon 4 demo, I've literally got it downloading as we speak. I am very excited to see that on my One X in 4K. I can't wait to because I remember my jaw hitting the ground when I saw it on stage at E3. I was constantly questioning myself, like, is this a game? Is this real life? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. So I can't wait to see for myself, like, what they've been working on. But the fact that they're crossing over with Halo, like you said it, man, you said it. Like, if it's got Halo put next to it, you've got my attention. So can I just say, before I even talk about the Halo crossover, that for me, as a fan of gaming, but primarily, as we've discussed, a fan of Xbox and what they do, I just have to say that I am absolutely loving the network of game development camaraderie that has been created behind the doors of Microsoft and Xbox. Like, this is not the first or the last time we're going to hear about two first-party studios collaborating to work on each other's games. It wouldn't surprise me if when Halo 6 comes out, for the guys at Forza dabble in it to help them out, or the guys at Ninja Theory dabble in to help them out. Like, they've got a network of these amazing developers, and the more I'm gathering over time, Boom, because this isn't the first time that we've talked about two developers helping one another. I just think, like, at the moment, yeah, okay, you've got your 343, you've got your Coalition, you've got your Ninja Theory, you've got your Playground Games, and the others to follow. But I honestly think at this point they're all one and the same, because they are all like a big, massive team helping one another out.
Yep.
Like, it's an incredible network of camaraderie that I'm sort of like witnessing as a third party member here, like just from the outside, sort of getting a glimpse. I just find it incredible, almost unprecedented, and I for one can't wait to see what games we have in store for us as the years progress, with all these developers helping each other out and working hard. It's incredible. But on this one alone, because I just had to get that out of the way, I just had to say it. But the fact that they're doing a Halo mission on Forza is just going to bring Halo to life in a whole nother light. Give it a whole nother avenue, and it's incredible, man. The fact that they're doing a lot of racing stuff as well, like racing game types were always really popular with Halo. Like Halo 3, I remember specifically custom games with loads of races and mongoose races and warthog races and stuff. It was always buckets of fun. So for 343 and Playground Games to think, do you know what? Why don't we just take this another notch up and collaborate, where we can bring these, very high popularity-esque game types and bring them into an actual, let's face it, number one in the world racing setting. It's incredible. I'm wondering if this is the step up. Like, so maybe like when Halo Infinite is out and you go into the multiplayer and you do like the racing side of it, or maybe just the car mechanics when playing Halo Infinite. I'm wondering if 343 and Playground Games, it doesn't end here. I'm wondering if maybe they're gonna help 343 out with just like even the car mechanics side of things. Just
absolutely. That's genius.
Literally, like where you know, why end it here? Like they could make each other's games better all the time. I will say this as well, like could these events, when, because obviously Forza Horizon's coming out in October. As for Halo Infinite, we don't know when it comes out yet, and as for what we've seen, we know very little. Could these racing events that they release in collaboration with 343 and Halo, could they be filled with a lot of Easter eggs, like to give us little subtle hints of what we're expecting to see with Halo Infinite? There's so many questions. The level of detail is unmatched. I don't think there's many developers out there that put this level of detail into their games. It's just incredible. That gameplay you told me to watch, Boom, was insane. Just looked phenomenal. That the sand tracks, the warthog on Forza, like Jesus Christ. It just looks incredible. The visuals are stunning. It's just making Halo, you know, be seen in a different way. People who are head over heels for Forza may never have played Halo, this might get their taste buds going for when Halo comes out. There's so many pluses to take from this. I'm just glad to see that this camaraderie between the networks is only getting stronger. It makes the game look incredible, and I'm very excited. I can't wait to play the demo later when it downloads.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say this: if you go into, well, you can't see it yet, but once Forza Horizon 4 is going to release for the early release is the 28th for people that buy the $100 edition. I get to play 4 days early. And then obviously the first week of October, we're going to get it officially where you can purchase it, or of course you can go through Game Pass and get it there. I am looking forward to seeing, because you got to remember, this kind of slipped out of the bag. I think they really wanted this as a surprise, but it's fine. It's fine because I'm sure that there's some other hidden gems in there. And after the Hot Wheels track, I always wondered, could they actually top it? Because the Hot Wheels expansion is by far one of the greatest racing expansions in the history of racing games. And I've been gaming for 40 plus years. I still play it. I played with Hot Wheels as a kid on orange tracks, doing loop-de-loops with my cars. So to play it on in 4K on my Xbox is just it's unbelievable because it brings back to when I was a kid. But seeing you know, and I've watched the video, and you know what? It's not ruined for me because watching video for me isn't the same thing as actually holding the controller and seeing it moving on my TV. So I'm still looking forward to this Warthog mission, but I'm curious to find out what else is going to be you know, possibly added to. Now, I've heard rumblings, and folks, take this with a complete grain of salt. I saw this up on the 4chan forums. It was posted by an anonymous tipster, which you know how that goes. So again, you know, spoiler, grain of salt, take it with it. There was something discussed along the lines of a Gears of War DLC coming to Forza Horizon 4. I asked privately Alan Walsh if he heard anything about that. He has not, and he really does have his ear to the floor. He's obviously running Full Throttle Media, which I'm going to put into the show notes, so you can go to his website and read the Forza article that he did. It is absolutely fantastic and really goes into detail what they're going to be doing with this game. And you know what? After reading it, it hyped me up for the game even more than I'm already hyped. But I'm interested to see. There are going to be 2 DLCs coming. I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't even think I have that good of an imagination where I could think of what they could possibly do to top you know, the Hot Wheels track, and even Blizzard Mountain was fantastic because I'm a snow kind of a guy. I love the winter, so that was great for me. And now this Halo DLC, even though it's not gonna be a significant part of the game, it's still in there, and it's gonna be something I'm gonna go to time and time again to play, because when you go into first person mode, you see Master Chief's body. You see his hands, you see the legs. I mean, that's incredible. But what do you think, Welsh? How could Playground Games top the last 2 DLCs for Forza Horizon 3?
Just keep collaborating with your fellow man. The sky is the limit. Listen to the gamer, and you'll be fine. That's literally all I can say. Like maybe, frankly, they should just put the feeler out, because let's be real. No one asked for the Hot Wheels track, but they did it off their own back, and the success was through the roof. People loved it. It looked phenomenal. It was a lot of fun. So imagine if, we've gotten Halo and it's already brewing up to be a fabulous success. People are excited for it. It's going to be fantastic. So for future DLC packages, when it comes to the development side of it, because they're still hard at work with this Halo one by the looks. So before the development side of that ends, put the feeler out on Twitter. They got a large following. Literally, just put the tweet out of all the games you like, or themes, or movies, or fuck anything. Like, you could literally do a Spider-Man themed thing where you bloody swing through New York in a car. I don't bloody know. But like, when it comes to gaming, like, there's literally no limit to what you can do. So I'd literally, if I was Playground, I'd put a feeler out when they release Halo, give it a few weeks just to let the excitement set in and stuff, and then just put the feeler out. Just be like, yo, guys, fans of Forza, we love you. Dedicated to you guys. What would you like to be the theme, the primary drive behind the development of our next DLC? I'd be excited to see what they do.
That'd be a great campaign, dude. You should be working for Microsoft marketing. I'm going to be giving somebody a call on your behalf, sir.
Mate, I aim to please. I do what I can.
Well, listen, again, normally this is a 60-minute show. We were running a little behind. We kind of talked a little bit longer on a topic. Obviously, I kind of went on a little bit of a rant, which I apologize for. So I'm going to continue the show because I do have one more topic. I think it's important. Call of Duty, the Blackout mode, which is obviously being, it is the Battle Royale, mode that we knew was coming. I gotta be honest with you. This question, this subject that we're going to be talking about is packed, and it's backloaded. So first, I'm going to start with this. The Blackout mode demo, it went available for the PlayStation 4 players who reserved the game via the PlayStation Network, or of course, you used your receipt code on your receipt to play it. Now, they got to play it 4 days earlier than the Xbox community. Now, normally, obviously in the 360 days, Microsoft had the marketing, which shame on them for losing that. That was probably one of the biggest mistakes this generation, along with a host of others that they've made. But losing the marketing for Call of Duty was a big blow, in my opinion. And Sony, like I've said, they've taken this ball, they've run to the end zone, and they've scored. And again, that's the marketing that that I really appreciate about Sony. Back in the 360 days, Microsoft had the deal where they got the DLC 30 days in advance, as opposed to PlayStation players. Now, even though I don't really play Call of Duty online. And I think that any content being held back is wrong. And I'll say that publicly. It doesn't matter what flag you're flying. But I understand that kind of marketing because, Microsoft is paying the big bucks to slap the Call of Duty that they have the marketing. And I understand that. And just like I would not complain about PlayStation players getting the DLC 30 days in advance. And that's what has happened. Basically, they just switched sides. And I'm actually okay with that. What I'm not okay with is when a beta or demo, if you will, comes out and it lasts for 7 days. And PlayStation players who reserved the title get to play for 7 days, as opposed to the same Xbox players who spend the same amount of money reserving the same game only get a chance to play it for 3. Now, if the way I would have personally done it is I would have back-ended the Xbox players those 4 days and then stopped it at the 7 days for the PlayStation 4 players, giving both sides of the coin the 7 full days of play. So again, this is a loaded question and it's a loaded subject, and but that's what we do. This is a conversational podcast, so we're going to talk about it. Welsh, I want to go to you on this. Do you think that this is the gross side of marketing, where you and I'm a PlayStation guy, you're an Xbox guy, we both go to Game in the UK, or we go to GameStop here, we put our 6501 down, right? Or your 70 pounds, we put it down, we both walk away with our receipts, right? We both reserve the same game, just on 2 different systems. We go home and we put the code in. I can play for 4 days while you sit and watch on Twitter how much fun I'm having. How does that make you feel?
It sucks. That's the thing, Boom. You said it. Like, it's the gross side of it all when it comes to marketing. Like, from a business perspective, it's marketing 101 for trying to sell your system. So kudos for Sony yet again for having the aggressive marketing strategy. But as the gamer, who, like you said so eloquently, like, we both went into that same shop, we both paid the exact same amount, we both walked away with a grin ear to ear with our receipts, absolutely stoked to play this game.
Yes.
And I have to wait 4 days after you've played it, only to play it for 3 days, not to mention. It sucks. I prefer your idea. Like, if they are adamant on like making the other platform wait, they should okay, fair enough, make me wait 7 days, but then I should have a full 7 days
correct
after that to play my, like I've got written down here, if you're paying exactly the same, you should be getting the same. Now, if there's like a couple of days, like I've already written down here, if I have to wait like a month to 30 days till I'm allowed to play it, as long as the game is good, it should be worth the wait.
Yes.
But if, like you just said, I am waiting 4 days only to play for 3 out of the 7 overall days, then that's bullshit. That to me isn't marketing. That's terrorism. that's literally holding the demo hostage, holding whatever hostage. That's not right. That really isn't right. It should be dealt out fairly. Like I've written down, I'll say it again. I don't mind waiting if it's worth the wait, but don't cut me short when I've paid the same amount of money, please.
You know what? You're not only are you 1,000% right. I thought of something sitting here listening to you or reading the chat that I didn't add to this, and I'm going to kind of throw it in there. Now, I said demo, and I am mistaken in saying that, because this is a beta. And what are betas used for? They are used to test connectivity, player count, bugs. Okay? Now watch where I'm going with this. What I find to be auspicious, if you will, is very simple. Because you have a marketing deal with Sony, you're allowing their players to play and report to you bugs, issues, and things of that nature for 7 full days, giving you a full spectrum picture of what needs to be fixed before this game goes live. And then you move it over to the Xbox guys, i.e. me and you, which is where we're going to play it. And we only get to give them 3 days of data as opposed to a full 7. So when something happens on the Xbox end with bugs and connective issues and player count issues, who is to blame for that? Is it the Xbox platform, or is it Activision not giving the players the full 7 days so they could report, hey, listen, on this level at this particular, when I'm kneeling down, I get stuck in the environment? I mean, is that food for thought, Welsh?
No. Literally, mate, I'm so glad you said that, because like, I think we get caught up in what a beta is used for, because over the years, betas have been used as a marketing thing, whereas that wasn't always the case. I mean, back in the day with like a lot of 360 titles, your Halo ODST, your Halo 3, or any of those sort of games, like, you got the beta whether you liked it or not. Like, it was available via the dashboard. You didn't have to buy a game to get a code, or like, you just had the beta because it was for the purpose of testing. It was to benefit the overall experience when the game was launched. But now you've got all these deals where like a beta is behind a paywall. And it's like, you can't have the beta unless you pay this amount up front and pre-order our game, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And it's like, so with that said, I think a lot of gamers nowadays, and I'll be honest, it completely slipped my mind until you brought it up then, forget what a beta's true purpose is. And you just hit the nail on the head. Like, betas are not to sell a console or to sell a copy of a game. A beta should be available to the masses, irregardless of what flag you fly, what platform you play on.
Correct.
Because if you are a fan if you are a fan of Call of Duty, it shouldn't matter what platform you prefer. You should want Activision to spread their wings and give as many people as possible the reins with this beta, because, like you said, Boom, if you give you give 7 days, a full 7 days to one platform and only 3 to another, like, you're not getting 100% feedback over all the platforms. So it could have a hindering effect on your game come launch day. So no, you're completely right, and I'm glad you said that, because I've often been an advocate of saying that I hate it when people put betas behind paywalls, because it produces a very mixed message, and it's for this reason. Betas are not a tool to be used to sell a game. It's a tool to be used to better the game.
Correct.
Which is what people are paying for.
Yes.
That's what people's hard-earned money's going into. No, well said, Boom.
Well, you know what? That's thanks to you, because as you were talking, it just popped into my mind, and you know what? That's how we go. Sometimes I over prepare, and sometimes I forget little details. But I'm glad I was able to throw that out, because I think that it's important to know exactly what you said, and you said it perfectly. A beta is not out there to sell the game. The game is going to sell based on its own merits. The beta is to make sure that when it launches, there are no bugs that ruin the experience for the people buying the game. Well said. Absolutely perfect. But you know what? That's the 5 topics today. We went a little longer. And you know what? I don't normally mind, because I could talk about video games almost all the time. I enjoy playing all 3 consoles. I am literally have Spider-Man on pause sitting right next to me. I will be going back to that as soon as I'm done uploading this into YouTube. Of course, I could not do this show without 2 very, very important aspects. First and foremost, the Welsh Gamer. We have become very good friends privately. He agreed to do this team up, Marvel team up, if you will, or DC team up, if that's your flavor. And I could not imagine working with a better co-host, because he is as proper and thought-provoking as anyone I've met. And I highly, highly encourage you following him on Twitter, subbing his channel, and checking out his show that's going to be on in just a couple of hours. But you know what, Welsh, I'll let you take it away. Tell everyone where they could find you, sub you, and what show is going on later today.
Thank you, Boom, and once again, great topics, great show. Absolutely smashed it. I've loved every second. I really appreciate it. As for me, where you can find me, on YouTube, The Welsh Gamer, 3 words. Be sure to pop over at 7 p.m. BST if you're in the UK, or 2 p.m. EST if you're in the States.
Yes.
To tune into episode 20, so the big 2-0 of the Dragon X podcast. So
you'll be able to drink on your next episode.
Oh, mate, I've already got the beers in the fridge, my friend. But I'm looking forward to that one. Please tune in and engage in the chat. It'll be awesome to have you. For my Twitter, at the Welsh Gamer 93, 1 word. Be sure to follow me, DM me. I'm always looking to maybe take on some community members, to jump on the show and stuff. So be sure to engage me on Twitter.
Yes.
Break the ice, and we'll see how that goes. And that's pretty much it. So another week passes, another Xbox Factor. I look forward to next week, Boom. Thanks for having me again, dude. Awesome show.
Well, you know what? This again, I have to also put the spotlight on someone who is also from the UK, who has become literally someone that I consider a brother. And I don't know if I'm ever going to meet him in real life, but I will eventually crack that Dr. Pepper and I'll tip his beer. And that, of course, is UK Dazarus. And again, this is not a big reveal. He is the moderator for this channel as well as at least a dozen others. I don't think he gets the credit that he fully deserves. He is what I would call the ultimate community member. He is why I call him the moderator of the universe. He is the sheriff and holds down the fort in a way that makes hanging out on my channel, especially in the chat, a safe and fun place. And I could not do this without him. I am going to say this: Forza Horizon 4 is upon us. He is one of the biggest Forza fans. I definitely suggest going over to his channel, giving this dude a sub, and checking out his videos because they're all race related as well as retro gaming. And I just want to say a big thank you to first of all the three gentlemen that donated to the channel, the super chat. I'm really taken aback. That really is just so nice of you to do that. It's greatly appreciated. And I also want to turn the spotlight once again onto the chat. This chat was fantastic. Again, you know what? I'm open. My DM is open. If you have a question for me, if you want to talk privately, if I said something that offended you, hit me up. I will respond to you. I respond to everyone because I just like talking with the community. I could not have a channel that just surpassed 1,400 subs in 11 months, which has still blown my mind. And that would not be possible without these wonderful people in the chat that come and hang out and support me. So thank you for that. And I'm going to say this: Breakfast with Boom tomorrow, as it stands, we are looking to talk about 9 different topics. It is a packed show. Obviously, I kind of let out of the bag that the very great and incredible person, Alan Walsh, is one of the panel members, but I will be making an official announcement of who the panel members are. And listen, everyone, have a fantastic day. Tune into Welsh Gamers Show later on this afternoon, and I will see you live tomorrow morning on the latest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Thanks again.